So it's getting close to Halloween, and I have this wonderful collapsing and degrading cliffside behind me. So I thought I would work it into my practice for the day. Uh, I was always kind of confused when, the classics would talk about these samurai, and they'd always be very morbid. They'd be like, oh, and then he thought about, there's this whole thing about he's like, oh, he thought about all the ways he could die and bugs would eat him and all these things. But the continuation of that is that when we have patterns, we can be controlled by those patterns. And so we want, as much as possible, to be able to let certain patterns die or, degrade away. And so we can let something new fill that empty space. And we can think of a posture as a pattern as well. For instance, if I am here, if I've, done this, and I want to go into this posture, I don't want to try to take this posture and put this posture on top of it. That's confusing. That's, again, it's double weighting or confusing one thing for the other. We have to let one posture die so the next one can start. In the 5 elements, this would be the metal element, which is autumn. And to do this, I'm going to use a combination of kinesthetic feeling and then also visual imagery. You could use any imagery you want, really. You could do kinesthetic to kinesthetic imagery too. That will happen automatically. Well, it does with me anyways. I don't know if it'll happen with other people. But I'm going to use a kinesthetic to visual image. So let's say, again, I was in this position. And I want to move here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to feel into my body. I'm going to make sure that I'm actually feeling it. I've covered ways to do that before, but feel the actual difference between the pressure between your feet, or feel an actual tension of a muscle, or a way you're falling. Easy trick is if you choose 2 points and they feel the same, then you're thinking about it, you're not feeling it. So for me, first thing that pops up, which is usually an easy thing to take, is that knee. And then I feel something in my shoulder here. I feel an emptiness over here. Take all those into account. And eventually this will happen automatically. You'll just take whatever comes. So I go here, and the first thing that comes to mind is a tree. Okay. Now I'm going to let that tree come into being. I want a complete picture. I don't want the idea of tree. I want an actual tree that I am seeing in my mind. So I have a tree, kind of looks like a windswept pine. Okay, and then I'm going to do something in my mind. I'm going to let that tree cease to be in whatever way. One way I could do that is I could imagine that the tree got hit by lightning. And then I let my body respond to that. How would a tree degrade if it was hit by lightning? Well, I would say, let's say it hits me right in the center. I would let that be the first part of the area that's going to start that travel towards the new movement. And then the other side, maybe this side falls, and this side falls. Boom. And then again, I'm here. First thing that comes to mind, a boulder. What happens to the boulder? Let's say that rain takes it down. It's going to start at the top and then eventually move to the bottom. You can see it's a very different thing if it starts with a lightning strike or a rain taking it down. If you could get as morbid as you want with this, or as floofy as you want, because if you imagine that one image that comes to me a lot here, well, this is not a good, is that, I'm some sort of like a dandelion. And when dandelions die, they essentially let their seeds float up. And then maybe the bottom part withers away. Dandelion, seeds float up. Then the bottom part, maybe after the seeds float up, it gets gnawed by some sort of critter, and it kind of falls down. Oh, and then I'm going to have a whole different way. What's implied in this is that there's also a creation sequence in the same thing. From here, there's a whole deal like I could be like, oh, I could feel this, and I could think, there's a seed planted right where my foot is, and that grows into a tree, kind of like a plant would go, right? That's usually easier to do. So that's why I think about the destruction, because to build something up happens kind of automatically. We're always doing it. But to let the thing die and go get disintegrated is much more difficult. So I'll do one more example. Do something like an animal. Like let's say let's do it how I actually do it. I pick a posture. Boom. I have a posture. What do I feel? What animal? I feel very bearish. Okay, cool. A bear. And then I say, well, how would a bear die? This is kind of gruesome, but let's say the bear gets shot in the head. And then the whole thing falls down. It was a little too much that time. But I want to as soon as that bear falls, I want to go through the whole destruction. So it dies, it falls, gets eaten by worms, turns into mulch. And I'm here. Bear gets shot in the head, falls down. Everything starts getting degraded, eaten by things. And I'm on to the next posture. Try it out. Happy Halloween.